Underpowered Hour. On this week's show, we're joined by none other than Jean-Luc Masters, owner of Camel Trophy trucks, Fireflies, G-WACs, and of course, a Freelander. And now, here's the show. Welcome to the Underpowered Hour. I'm Steve Barris, mild-mannered television executive by day and Land Rover collector by night. You can find out more about our cars and what we're working on at thebarriscollection.com or follow us on Instagram at thebarriscollection. I'm joined, as always, by my good friend, Ike Goss.
Thank you to everyone joining us today. I'm the stick welder to Steven's 3D printer. I'm the antiquated fabricator of podcasting, Ike Goss. I own and operate Pangolin 4x4 in Springfield, Oregon, where we live and breathe Land Rovers. Check us out online on Facebook, Instagram at Pangolin 4x4. Let's get started.
All right, Ike. Well, here we go again. This week in the news, I hear that our good friend, Adrian, new CEO of JLR, says that, you know what, the Range Rover, maybe not the most stolen car of all time, doesn't necessarily like everybody constantly saying that. That may or may not be true. He
did admit that JLR is possibly contributing to the security budget of various ports to prevent them from being stolen and exported.
Right, yeah.
So there is that, but
yes.
He just claims that's because they're understaffed.
Right, exactly. He is right now looking for both Nicolas Cage and Angelina Jolie and looking to tie them up so as not to gone in 60 seconds any more Range Rovers. So
Dominic Toretto.
That's exactly right. It's all about family. It's all about family. Speaking of all about family, we have a very good friend of ours and a connoisseur, if you will, of various different types of Land Rovers. A good friend of ours, Jean-Luc Masters, our friend from the UK, from the southwest of England. He has an affinity, if you will, for what is referred to as the G-WAC Discovery, which is the sort of first run of discoveries, these very early prototype discoveries, and I'll let him sort of explain what that is, but we've been trying to get him on the show for a little while, and I'm glad we could finally sync up some time because he and I actually have sort of a lot of parallel collection stuff. We own sort of a lot of sister cars, and he's a really good friend, and we love
super nice guy and very knowledgeable about this variant of Discovery, which I don't know a lot about. Yeah. So I'm excited to hear what he has to say about these cars.
Yeah. All right. Well, let's dial up the old interview machine and let's hop in there. All right. Well, we're here with a very good friend of the show, patron, in fact, of the show. And as we've said before, if you're a patron of the show, you get to be on the show. That's one of the perks, I guess. Our good friend, operator of the world's only Camel Trophy Uber service, Jean-Luc Masters, our friend from the beautiful south of England. Welcome to the show, my friend. John and I have a fairly simpatico collection of Land Rovers in that we have sort of matching Camel Trophy trucks, matching Firefly fire appliances, and of course, a set of gorgeous Freelanders. So, John, welcome to the show. Good to see you, my friend.
Yes,
how are you?
See you guys. Yeah, thanks, Steve and Ike, for having me on, really. It's great.
Oh, it's great to have you. Yeah, I'm excited to learn all about early discoveries. It's sort of a branch of the Land Rover family tree that I'm not super familiar
Ike doesn't
with.
like anything with like, I don't know, with curved glass. He's not a big fan of that stuff. No, doesn't like that. No.
I'm not sure I trust it. I don't know.
Coil springs. Yeah. Yeah.
What?
Yeah, I don't know.
What?
I don't know.
So
yeah, so let's get into that. So your Instagram handle is maybe a good place to start. The G-WAC, John, that comes from the license plate in the UK, right? And this is this sort of the very first run of the Discovery model of Land Rover. Is that correct? Where does that come from?
Yes, that's correct. The first 86 pre-production cars used on the launch when they brought them out in October 1989. They had a series of number plates starting with G and ending with the letters WAC. So we call it the G-WACs, basically. It's got a nice ring to it anyway. So yeah, I'm fortunate enough to own one of those cars. There's about 22 that survive, and I've got SDV number 5.
Nice.
And 1, 2, 3, and 4 don't exist. So it's the earliest one left.
Oh, okay.
So,
okay.
Yeah, that's quite good. I got that back on the road last year. It's sort of been sat for about a decade, but we're getting there.
I had read that like they did this initial batch of 86 cars, as you say, and then 43 of those were kind of sold off to the public. Is that
that's
right?
correct? Yeah,
and then 22 of those survive. You say
that's it. Yeah,
or are known.
So, there might be 1 or 2 tucked away in a barn somewhere hiding still, but there's 22 accounted for. So yeah,
Stephen and I saw maybe a couple recently, and so I don't know if those are included in the group, but there's a couple.
Oh, nice,
a couple over here.
I'm gonna have to pick your brains on that.
We'll let you offline, maybe we'll let you know.
Oh yes,
indeed, yeah. But that's really cool. And so you have sort of the earliest one. Where did you come across that car? How did you sort of find out about it, and where'd you find it?
As it is in this sort of hobby, it's just word of mouth, really, and friends and that. Is actually a good friend of mine, Tim Lavercombe. He purchased it from a chap up north, and we're based in the southwest here.
Yeah.
And he sort of come to the conclusion, like some of us, he had way too much.
Yeah.
And offered me the car, and it needed quite a bit of work at the time. So, and that's how I ended up having it.
Cool.
Really.
And these are obviously 2-door Discoveries, which is unfortunately something we never natively got here in North America. We only got the 4-door. The same 100-inch wheelbase, I guess, as the 4-door that we got, just with less doors, which for some reason makes it so much cooler. I don't know why less doors.
The lines are right, I think. They just look good.
Yeah,
especially
they are cool,
with the early graphics.
Yeah.
They are nice.
Yeah.
And
it looks more like a roller skate.
They really do. They look
ones.
like a roller skate. That's true. They look really cool.
It's such a early 90s sort of, they really scream that, don't they, with the decals.
The interiors on those things are they really anchor the car in the period.
Sonar blue.
Oh, yeah. And you get that little fanny pack center console bag thing. Like, man. I love it.
You used to be able to get a load of accessories in the early Land Rover owner magazines. They'd make like little armrests that clip on the doors and backrests and sort of lumbar support things all in that material. So that's quite cool.
Oh, yeah.
You could get the rollerblading package with a little outfit on.
Make the whole thing look like
little Discovery Mountain logos on the side.
Oh, yeah, you got to have that. It's a, it's funny because that sonar blue turns to like the worst color of green when exposed to sunlight. So it's really, it was a moment in time where, those cars that weren't kept out in the sun, those few that still exist in that sonar blue color are a real time capsule to that time period. It really is amazing. But that's not the only Discovery that you have. What other? You got a whole fleet over there, John. You're like a little tiny Dunsfold going on over there. What other discos do you have?
I'm a sucker for punishment with the Discoveries, and they are a lot to keep on top of. I have another early car. It's not a ex-factory vehicle or anything like the G-WACs, but it's on a G plate again. It's a black 3-door 200 TDI. I found it around the back of a farm. My full-time job is farming.
Yes, as most people, it seems, in England are farmers, it seems. That seems to be...
Basically, certainly in the southwest.
Everybody's a farmer.
What do you grow other than Land Rover projects?
Maize, grass, wheat, barley, basically. Occasionally rye or whatnot. Yeah, so
very cool.
Yeah, basically we're mucking out a cow barn, so I was quite bored anyway, and I spotted this early Discovery sat behind these barns, and curiosity got the better of me, and I tracked the owner down, and we struck a deal, and here I am, sort of 5-6 years later with it. It's a fantastic car. I do all my towing and just general running about with the thing, and
cool,
uber reliable with the 200 TDI, and it's quite
very
economical, really. Practical, economical.
Oh, that 200 TDI is a great engine. That's the same one I have in my Camel, same your Camel, and it's not quite as peppy as the 300, but man, it just goes forever. Like it's just you can leave it sit up for 3 years and go out and just turn the key and it just goes. It's kind of amazing. Yeah, kind of amazing, really.
It's pretty brilliant.
Yeah.
So what got you excited about Discoveries? You just saw one and you were like smitten by these cars, or did you grow up and have some sort of formative experience with these vehicles?
That's it. That's the usual kind of backstory, and I'm no different. My dad bought a silver 200 TDI Discovery. That was a 5-door model. It was the first year of the 5-door model. It was 1991, and so I grew up with that through most of my childhood and sat in the back of it, and I guess something went wrong in my head and stuck in there, and I thought, I quite like these cars. And
the off-gassing of all the materials, the plastics, that really corrodes your mind.
Yeah, that's it.
Here in the United States, we got Discoveries, I think, starting in,
94? Yeah, 94 was the first year.
Yeah, 94, which is
and
facelift model, isn't it? Yeah.
My brother bought one, I think, in 95. 95. And so it was before I could drive legally anyway. He had this Discovery, and it was a 5-speed with a V8, which was not a common variant here in the US, but all the ones we got were 5 doors, and they were all gas, and the vast majority of them were automatic with only a few manuals being sold. And so I would ride around in this Discovery with my brother when he was home from college or whatever. And it was a pretty neat car. I thought it was neat at the time until I saw Series Land Rover, and I was like, oh, I just forgot all about Discoveries. But I remember liking that vehicle when he first got it. It was pretty cool. My gut reaction was, oh, that's weird with the silly window in the top.
I don't know if you guys ever seen a Matra Rancho, a Tolbolt. It's like a French-built car that they made in the 80s, and they look very, very similar to them. And so a lot of people, when they come out, because they got the stepped roof.
Oh, yeah.
A lot of people, they look very, very similar. So they named them after that. They sort of took the mick a bit. But, yeah.
What are some other vehicles that have a stepped roof like that? You get the Discovery, and what you said is a Maestro, is that right?
Matra Rancho.
A Matra Rancho.
I can't even pronounce that.
You want to look them up? They're quite a cool looking little thing, actually. Yeah, they could get them up.
I want to see that. And there was a Suzuki Jimny
that had a little step, a little tiny step. That's right. Yeah, and they had an Alpine. Yeah. Yeah, that was the plastic
4-tracks, I think.
Oh, that was a good car, 4-track.
It's a distinctive feature. There's not too many people.
I can't imagine that it's that easy to manufacture a roof like that. It's got to be a little bit trickier, right? It's going to be much easier to just make a flat panel roof than it would be to put that step in it.
Straight.
Yeah. It does. I can't imagine it makes as good of a boat. When you have the step in it. That's a key feature that people look for in a roof, I imagine. So, speaking of good as a boat, so not only do you have the fleet of Discoveries, but one of those Discoveries happens to be a Camel Trophy Discovery, which I've had the pleasure of ripping around Bob Ives' farm in, which was a real pleasure. And as we alluded to in the intro, that is where you run your Camel Trophy Uber service, and we'll take people from Bob Ives' house to the train station with a quick stop at the pub along the way. John was nice enough to drive Liza and I from Bob's place to the train station as we were doing our trip across the UK, and needed a quick ride to the train station. And so, hey, what better way to get across the south of London than via Camel Trophy truck? It's really the ultimate way to see the countryside. So we appreciate that, John. It was good. Yeah, it was good fun. As we rolled up to the train station,
it was really great.
Yeah, as we rolled up to the train station, a few looks from the bystanders as a Camel Trophy truck drives up to the train station. I think it was a bit odd, but there you are.
That's it. Especially with the bloody brakes, didn't they picked up a stain sort of in the centre of Basingstoke, so it was squeaking and echoing through the streets as well. So
that's right.
It's only made an entrance.
Yes, it certainly did. No, it certainly did. And it really felt like we were just back from Sabah, Malaysia there, fresh off the cargo plane or something to just drop in and hop onto the train to central London. So no, it was great though. And drop by the pub for what was advertised as a very spicy Thai dish which by Western standards, not really so much, not so much. But by
it wasn't too bad.
Yeah, Southern English countryside apparently was like there are heavy warnings. Like there was nearly a document that needed to be signed in order to order this dish. There were a lot of warnings.
They said your head will explode if you eat this dish. You need to sign this piece.
Yeah. They were.
It was,
I don't think it wasn't quite that bad, but it was lovely. It was lovely.
Yeah, it wasn't too bad.
Yeah, it was great to have. We had Bob's, obviously Bob's winning Camel Trophy truck there, John's truck out, and a combine, which is always nice to have that as well.
Yeah.
So
in a matching color as well.
That's exactly right. Yeah,
combines
yeah,
being
that's
yellow.
true, yeah. And Dan was out there combining up a storm, and meanwhile, we're ripping around in a couple of the Camel Trophy trucks. So it was really a treat spending time out there. But yeah, so what's the story of that car? Where did you find it? And what have you done on it? I mean, I have to say, it's absolutely gorgeous. I mean, it's just in immaculate condition. All the little bits and everything are there. A treat to drives beautifully. Really gorgeous example of that year of car. So where'd you find it? And what led you to buying it?
Basically, it was a case of I was going to buy one in bits. We'll obviously talk about that one in a minute.
Yeah.
I just, the guy that was selling happened to mention he had a complete Camel Trophy truck sat in the barn up there with it as well. This was up near Leeds in Yorkshire. Mm-hmm. And I thought about it. I thought, I'm going to have to go and investigate now. And lo and behold, there was this 1993 Discovery sat in a barn. It had about an inch of pigeon crap all over it. we sort of dug it out, like we were discussing earlier. 200 TDI, first clip. Yep. Off she went. Took her for a drive around the fields because this was on a farm, of course. And
always on a farm. Yeah.
Took her out for a drive. Made sure everything was half okay. Looked underneath. It wasn't rotten, which I nearly sort of fell over and died from, which was quite impressive.
The pigeon shit had actually preserved it, mummified it almost.
Yeah, that's
right.
You can actually get that. Pigeon shit protection.
Yeah, that's right.
So.
I had read that the rust protection on early Discoveries was maybe not very strong. Is that accurate?
Not great. Yeah. Not great at all. And there's the odd exception with people that have sort of looked after them from the wax order them straight away. They're fine, but ones that have been out in the road, so they've suffered terribly.
Right.
So obviously everything's spot welded and two pieces of metal sandwiched together on half the inner shell. So that was never going to work well. Right. And like inner fender flares, like a bit of plastic sandwiched into the metal. So it's just a catch for mud and grime and basically asking to just rot the things out. So, but luckily, this Camel was rather good. So a deal was done, and
very cool.
That had to come home with me as well.
My
original plan was to go up with my Black Discovery, the 1990 one, at a trailer, and pick the G-WAC Camel that was in bits up there and take it back. I ended up having to get a bloody friend with an Arctic lorry to bring. It was 3 cars and a Sankey trailer in the end. Come back from that place. So,
what were the others?
One was just is an absolutely buggered Dana car, a 1990, but it's been handy for bits and bobs for projects. And a narrow track Sankey trailer that had been painted in Sanglo. So
cool.
Yeah, that was.
Oh, I see.
Yeah, quite good, really.
And then the car that you originally went up there for, that was another Camel Trophy car, right? But that had been painted red or something, right? It just was sort of like somebody had
just been sort of butchered,
right? Like somebody had sort of been like, well, let's turn this into the car that we're going to take down to Tesco.
Yeah, basically they'd obviously bought this X-Camel and thought, don't like the dents. I don't really like this baby shit yellow color either, to be honest. It's let's go red.
Oh geez.
And it been completely civilianized apart from the bonnet pins, basically.
Oh my god.
There's just the engine bay is still Sanglo,
right,
with the original Sanglo, and obviously under all the carpets, but apart from that, the car was completely red. So,
wow.
And did you end up with that one as well?
Yes, yeah. That was it. That was the original one to go by. It ended up with the other 3 or whatnot.
And so, what state is that in now? Have you been working on bringing it back to its former glory?
Yes, I finally got that in the workshop, sort of end of July last year, And it is back to Sangley now, which is good.
And you've been posting those pictures on your Instagram, right, John? Those are up on the.
That's it. Yeah. If anybody wants to follow the progress with it, it's all up on there.
Yeah, that's definitely worth a follow because it is fun to see that car slowly Lego brick itself back to a Camel Trophy truck. It's pretty fun as you guys get through panel by panel, putting it back the way that it's supposed to be. It's a pretty fun watch. So
it's been a good adventure with it so far, and even tracking things like the original Camel gear down, like the rear fuel tank guard I had to get from France, and I had to copy a lot of pieces because there's 3 different types of bloody Camel Trophy bull bars throughout the eras. There's an early type, a middle type, and the 300 stuff. Yeah, and so luckily I had a good friend in Spain lend me an original bull bar and his winch tray, and we copied them. Sent them to Good Fabricator near Reading. Got that sorted. Yeah.
I was just about to ask, like, where do you find surplus Camel Trophy parts? But it sounds like you have to make some of them.
You either need a magic wand or, basically just make some.
Right.
Yeah. And things like the rear light guards, because it's a 1990 car, they only made that particular type for that year. Right. And the only one over here that had them was in the British Motor Museum. So I had to go get a load of pictures and measurements and whatnot. And there's 3 1990 vehicles being restored.
I thought I saw those were missing out of the museum.
Yeah, I just snuck in with a Phillips screwdriver.
Somebody just stand in front while you quickly
rappelled down from the ceiling.
Nothing to see here.
Oh, that's really cool. That's so cool. Because there is no Brown Church won't remake any of it. I mean, are they even around in the same function as they used to be?
I think there's some sort of company about still, but I'm not overly clear.
But it's not like
this, some of the Camel
not really the same. Yeah, like they can't pattern you a new rack or a new winch, new bumper or something like that.
No, a lot of it's just you're gonna have to make it yourself. Yeah. If you got good fabricator buddies, and they can do it.
They can get it right. Yeah. Wow, that's so cool. So many of those cars, there's that popular sort of, we talk to Nick Dimbleby all the time about it, that they were left in country, they were, whatever, right? And they just sort of, they're just gone, right? They've dissolved into the ether and either become, Nick has pictures of some of them turned into literal donkey carts. Like the front of the car has
cut them up and
stripped away and it's being led by a horse, kind of a thing. And, so that's happened to so many of them. So to take the time to sort of bring one back when there are so very few of them left, I think it's just such a cool project, and it's such a neat kind of research project to go through. And now that you've made one of those brush bars, those folks that might need one, Bill Cooper is sort of doing something similar with his Range Rover, right? Where those things are even more rare, right? Yeah, those things are they're totally unobtainable, right?
They are hen's teeth.
Who knows, right? And nobody really knows because nobody is sure they've ever really seen exactly an original because they're just sort of. It was all so random. And so I just think it's so cool, these projects where, you guys are going through and doing the work to kind of, research these cars and kind of remake what is, otherwise would just be lost, would just be gone.
Yeah.
And it's such an important part of Land Rover history. I mean, I think to so many people, Camel Trophy is what got them into Land Rovers or got them into off-roading or got them into adventure travel or got them into smoking or, whatever, right? It was just,
that was the goal.
I think that was the main, buy a Land Rover or smoke cigarettes.
Yeah, exactly. Or smoke cigarettes, whatever, but I think that, it's just really cool. I think it's really cool. And I think it's really cool. So what about things like the roll cage and stuff like that? Did that car have any of that sort of stuff or that had been stripped out?
It's quite a special car. It's one of only 2 built in the batch they built for the 1990 event and various other stuff. So there are a couple of promotional cars as well. And that. This never had a roll cage, nor did it have a roof rack.
Oh,
and this my car is G563 WAC, and its sister car G562 WAC. That is exactly the same spec basically. And interestingly, on the roof, there's the 6 pilot holes on the very top, riveted back over, where it could have, ended up with a roof rack.
Right.
But obviously, it was sort of destined for its task, which was actually went to Roger Craythorne's fleet at Eastlaw Castle, and spent its life training there from 1990 to 92. And so did its sister car.
Cool.
Yeah. So,
that's really neat. That's really neat. So it's likely, likely the car that a lot of obviously the British team, but then, also as the finalist teams come to qualify at Eastner would have driven that car as well.
Yeah, that's it. Well, funny enough, probably the British team wouldn't have driven it because it started life as a left-hand drive. It's right-hand drive now.
Right.
But yeah, that and its twin. So I certainly know. I've got pictures of Team France from 91 training on it. I've got various people, to be fair, over the years, random pictures we found of her, and it's brilliant. Yeah.
Have you converted it back to left-hand drive?
It had been I've got most of the pieces, but I'm struggling to find a final few. It's amazing. Like there's some brackets underneath the dash that I'm missing, and I can't find for the life of me.
Are they the same as the later cars? Because we probably have them over here, huh?
Unfortunately, the bulkheads and dash are totally different between the facelift and the early
Okay.
Yeah. Which is a bit of a shame.
That's funny. There's another correlation point. My disco, once it was done in 93 on the Camel Trophy, went back to France with the French team and was used as a training car there. It was the French team's training car until about 1999 when they stopped doing the Camel Trophy. So yet another corollary point. How funny. That's interesting.
Explains
it
the
does.
Cheese
It smells.
smell.
It smells of a fine Gouda. Yeah, it's fine.
Cheese and baguette.
Yeah, it does a fine baguette. Yeah, it's good. Yeah, le fromage.
It's amazing what condition yours is in, though, considering it's used for the training. Because
it has. It is kind of amazing. It is. Yeah, but you'll lift up the thing is like they've painted over so much stuff. I mean, even on the event, it's funny because we talked to Nick Dimbleby a lot about it and Bob and stuff, and he said that they would just go out on the event with a can of sand glow paint, and they would just paint over any damage that the car would. They had black and they had sand glow, and you can see on my car where it had taken a huge hit along the side of it, and then somebody had come along with a brush and sand glowed over it. And I'm sure there's Malaysian mud in that sand glow paint that they just, but back then with the, 35 millimeter film and fairly low exposure, and it's going to get printed in a magazine from, 5 feet away. You can't really tell. The cars look fine.
Brand new again.
Yeah, the cars look fine. It just doesn't have a big stripe of aluminum on the side of it. So, they'd paint over it. And so, from 10 feet away, the car looks perfect, but up close, it looks like a race car. It's just covered in damage. The same thing with the Defender rally car. You get 10 feet away from it, it looks brand new. You get up close to it and you're like, it is just, Liza and Jenna just beat the shit out of that thing. But it is, it's interesting. That you sort of see that it's such an interesting relic. But yeah, no, I'm sure the French have had their way with this poor car. But that's all right.
I think it's pretty nice Discovery. Personally, I like your Discovery in the pantheon of Discoveries.
It's a good one. It's a good one. And John's is definitely like a really fun like sister car to mine. It's weird because it feels like my car.
It's like a doppelganger.
It is, John. You got to come over and drive this one.
Sounds like somebody I want to hang out with.
It feels really weird. Like you got to come over and drive mine because now I don't have any farmland for you to drive it around on here, but we'll find something. But yeah, it was really weird driving yours around, and we'll post some of that up on the Insta there. But it was it's like I was just driving my car just in England. But yeah, it was cool.
I'll definitely have to come and have a go in yours.
Yeah, you will. Yeah, for sure. Well, and then you'd have to. And of course, speaking of doppelganger cars, you of course also have one of the original Firefly fire tending appliances, and so do I.
Yes, yeah,
and
I can't take full credit. It's my older brother's vehicle, but I need a lot of looking after it. Obviously, it's in the family. It's in the family collection there.
But you are gratefully able to provide me with some instruction on how the goddamn pump system works, so that I don't explode my tank. I've yet to actually take it over to the fire department and see if they can help me get it going, but yeah, these are super cool. I mean, I think they made something like not very many, 8 of them or something. Like there's such a small number of this particular.
It's not a great deal.
Yeah, not a great deal. So, like we were saying before, I think we own 28% of all Fireflies in the world right now between the two of us. So that's another car. So where did you guys come across the Firefly? What's the history behind that car?
That was just a random sort of scrolling through Facebook Marketplace. Really, that was one of those sort of finds, and it was out in Pembrokeshire in Wales. But it spent its working life at Uni Royal Tyres.
Okay,
up near Edinburgh.
Yep.
And it was their on-site factory fire engine.
Okay, yeah.
From, I think, it's a 1967, this one.
Yeah.
And it was in service as a fire tender till about 85.
Oh, wow.
And then it got put on a snowplow and stayed on that in the factory grounds till about 97, I want to say.
Oh, wow.
And it was decommissioned. And yeah, it left them there with 3,500 miles on the clock. So it hadn't done too much, but it's now on 11,500 miles. So it's done more miles driving at the shows than it did
actually working. Yeah, that's funny.
But it's what Dad quite often says, well, both agree with it. It's the most useless thing ever, but it's fantastic. It's just brilliant. Yeah, it's brilliant to look at.
It's the most joyful car in the world. Yeah, it's just they look so unique, and the silly little siren and they're a joyful car for sure.
Yeah, and sort of the only thing it is useful for, you'd hope you wouldn't have to use it.
Yeah. Well, and it's funny, the story behind mine, obviously our good friends Eric and Ben and everybody brought this to the Anarch Festival here earlier this year, and Ike said, "Oh, did you see this Firefly? It's like the coolest thing in the world." So I went over to look at it, and it was British American Oil, or BA as we had here, which was bought by ConocoPhillips and sort of, drifted away into obscurity here in the United States. But my grandfather owned a BA fueling company. And this car is from Alberta in Canada, where I'm from, where I grew up, 3 hours away from where I grew up. So it's sort of like it's meant to be. It's fate, right? Sort of.
I was going to say it was meant to be that, wasn't it?
It was definitely synchronistic. It's a really nice example of an original car, regardless of being a Firefly. Has all of its original interior, has the pump, the siren, the lights, all the things, under the hood's pretty original. It's pretty unmolested car. And it just has the right vibe, man. I don't know how else to explain it. It really does.
I've seen photographs of it, and it's certainly, it's got a lot going for it.
It's a cool car. It's neat. It's a neat car. Everybody loves a fire truck. Who doesn't love a fire truck, right? Yeah, you gotta love.
Exactly.
Yeah, you gotta love that. You gotta love that. No, it is a joyful car, and and it's been very helpful with your pump instructions and things. I am gonna bring it over to the local fire brigade, and see if they can't help me. See if they can't help me get it to work. I'm gonna find the oldest fireman in Santa Clarita here and see if they can't help me get it going. So
he might just remember how to get it going.
Yeah, he may just remember. Yeah, exactly. Yeah, there's no computer.
We must get ours pumping.
Yeah.
We must get ours pumping this summer as well. That'll be quite good. Yeah. We only done it sort of the once when we very first had it, so I've forgotten how to do half of it.
Yeah.
It's
I can't. Yeah.
Just water the crops with that.
Hose down the neighborhood kids. Whatever. Right? Yeah. And just give the whatever. And then of course we would be remiss. Speaking of joyful cars, if we didn't talk about the mighty Freelander. Now, we've been accused, mostly by Dixon, of proliferating this notion that every Land Rover enthusiast should own a Freelander, which I think they should.
I think that's wrong. Every Land Rover owner should have two Freelanders.
You probably
one might be working.
To be fair, you probably need two. Yeah, you probably need two. Yeah,
except me. I don't.
But
you're sensible. Stick to the series.
Yeah. So, like, what encouraged you, besides the fact that it is truly the king of Land Rovers, to go out and get yourself, the most luxurious Land Rover ever created, the love child of Jerry McGovern, the beautiful Freelander.
It's basically is Afro from that era.
It is
into a car.
It really is. Yeah, it is. It's his Ascot made vehicle.
Basically. Well, this one was again come from my friend Tim. He had it for a bit, and it was sort of sat there for a while, and it was going to end up getting scrapped. So being it's a very early car.
As all Freelanders eventually end up getting scrapped. That's how it
pretty much.
That's how it goes.
It's destined for its usual fate.
Yeah.
It's a really early car, it's a 382nd car off the line.
Oh,
I think,
wow.
something
Oh, cool.
like
That is a
I've
very
got-
early car.
Yeah,
Yeah.
not
wow.
something like that. I've obviously delved into it. I've gone down that route.
Right. Yeah. For sure.
It's a ex Land Rover owned vehicle. So
Okay.
they had it to start with.
Yeah.
So it'd have either been a demo
That's
or
cool.
a press car
Yeah.
or whatnot. And it's got the 1.8K series engine in it. So
Yeah.
that's new territory for me.
Yeah.
I bought it not driving, and it needed a new clutch. I took that apart.
Yep.
I've never seen anything like it.
Right.
When we actually got in there, I ended up with a neck full of clutch dust, and then pulled it out, and there were two metal paddles missing from the center of the clutch. There was no material left at all. I thought that's definitely the problem there.
Well, that would be what's going on here. Yeah. Yeah. It is amazing that the types of failures that a Freelander can incur. I'm sure you know, famously, my transmission ended up full of water at one point, which shouldn't be able to happen. But, there is, they can fail in some pretty incredible ways. Land Rover really worked hard to find new and incredible ways for the car to destroy itself.
Oh, definitely.
Yeah, they worked really hard on that. And, the transverse engine with timing belts on the front and the back, the back being, of course, completely inaccessible to anything but like an Oompa Loompa. I don't know how you get back there.
The V6 is certainly crammed in there.
Holy shit. Just having done the oxygen centers and like we said, the YouTube video, we teased it last week. It wasn't actually last week that it came out. It actually comes out today. It's out today. So it's on the old internets, on the YouTube today. Even Liza couldn't get to that back oxygen center. I mean, seriously, I'm pretty sure I have permanent scarring from jamming my arm into where, they have some of these things placed. Like, I don't know how they expect people to work on some of these cars. I mean, we're used to series cars where, there's plenty of room and things. And worst case scenario, you pop the fender off, you pop the wing off, and you can get to something, and it's no big deal, like if you have
it's
to.
all accessible, isn't it?
Yeah, I mean the most
just doing the gearbox on mine, I had to become a bloody contortionist to get to certain bolts.
Oh my god!
I'm 6'3" and I'm quite fat, and that was quite a task.
Oh my god! I mean, it's just it is incredible, and this crazy trans-axle limited slip drive shaft thing, and like. All these unobtainable parts that you can't get for them, and I mean, like they truly are. They're like an exquisite sort of like tantric sort of. I don't even know. They're the dominatrix of car enthusiasm. I think is sort of what it is. It's a pleasure pain
I think
thing.
That's quite a good description.
Yeah. It's like the Hellraiser of.
They just except they won't stop.
No, they don't.
You.
There's no safe word. There is no safe word. No.
Just continuous 24/7.
24/7. Yes, there's no safe word. Yeah, no. It's just like once you're in, you're in. That's it. There's no getting out. Once you've opened the puzzle box,
when you guys,
you're in. There's no getting out.
When you guys describe it like this, it
I know.
makes me want to get one.
We're really selling it to you, aren't we?
Yeah.
I can see one being in the next month, joining the fleet.
Yeah. They truly are a wonderful little car.
They're starting to get pretty difficult to find
here.
They are. They don't really pop.
And the funny thing is they're
often.
actually they're going for like a reasonable amount of money now. Like there was a few as we just did the show with Ivan and Dan from Rover Talk where we looked at last year and a couple of them sold and I think they both sold for over 10 grand. I don't think I haven't seen one sell for less than 10 grand in quite a while. And it's insane. I mean, they're garbage.
Were these people bidding intoxicated?
I don't know.
I wonder if, Stephen, your enthusiasm for the Freelander and your discussion of them on the show has increased.
I worry that it's partially my fault. Yeah.
You're the rainmaker.
So yeah, I've driven up the Freelander market, and now I'm going to sell mine for $100,000.
The old pump and dump.
Yeah, this is it. This is how I retire. I'm going to go out on top. And this Freelander. I definitely have the only North American Freelander with no lights on the dash right now. I think because some of them have burnt out, but it doesn't have any lights on.
Some have definitely popped or
they've just been physically removed
anymore. Yeah.
Hopefully, I should have mine on the road sort of between spring and summer. So that'll be back alive again anyway. And
just don't specify what years spring and summer. I mean, between spring and summer,
probably 2027.
Yeah, whatever. Yeah, exactly. But that's fine. Yeah. No, it is a fun. I have to say, when they are running, and Phil Bashel is the biggest advocate of the Freelander of anybody I've ever met in my life. they are actually quite a fun little car to drive. Like they're actually pretty fun.
Yeah,
and you know what?
Driven in anger, they're quite capable as well. To be fair.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, like you can really give it. You can really give her. And Nick Dimbleby loves a Freelander, and we did promise. And Nick just mentioned this. He was on the Center Steer podcast this past round, and he did mention. He keeps mentioning. So I feel like to reinforce the point that we did promise him for I guess it would be the 30th anniversary or the 25th or whatever. Anyways, the next anniversary of the G4 trip here that they did, that we would have a running Freelander for him to drive on that. So I suppose we've got.
That's going to come back to bite you.
Yeah.
Speaking of things that might come back to haunt you, is it time?
It is time for the world famous lightning round. Many have tried, very few have managed to accomplish it. John McMasters, are you ready for the world famous Ike Goss lightning round?
Oh God, I think so.
Are you familiar with the format?
I am. Yeah.
Okay. Are you ready?
Right. Yeah.
He's doing some. For those of you that can't see, he's doing some telestretching right now.
I'm drinking. I drink coffee.
Yeah. Exactly. Yeah. There we go.
Oh,
yep.
Right.
Taking some stimulants.
Right.
He's just injected some steroids.
We do strict blood testing here at the lightning round. All right. First question: hard top or soft top?
Hard top.
Hard top. Gas or diesel?
Has to be diesel. 200 TDIs.
4-door or 2-door?
2-door. Well, 3-door really for me.
3 doors. Good answer. Coil springs or air suspension?
Oh, coil.
Bronze green or sand glow?
Sand glow.
And the best way to remove gear oil from your underpants is?
Just leave it on, embrace it. Smells great.
Okay, there you go. Yeah,
just leave it on. Wow.
Yeah,
100%.
well done. Well done.
100%.
Yeah, perfect.
Well
score.
done.
More and more people are just
you'll receive a
more and more
trophy in the
people
mail.
are just jumping into that just leave it category. You know, I think that's the way of the future. The Underpowered Hour brand pre-lubricated underpants, I think that's
yeah. See, new thing coming 2024.
Available in the web store.
Pre-sealed in a lubricated packet. Yeah,
pre-oiled
with just the right amount of gear oil. All right. Well, John, thank you so much for your time. We appreciate it, buddy. Please come join us again in the future. We'd love an update on the Camel Trophy restoration. If the Freelander ever sees pavement again, all the things that you're working on. It's always fun to have you on the show. Where can people find your Instagram? What's the handle?
My Instagram is G_WAC_John95. You can find my antics on there.
Excellent. Well,
keep up with everything.
Definitely go and check that out. It's a lot of fun. Some great photos. Nice to see that camel getting slowly put back together. And
hopefully we'll get that back together. And me and Nick Dimbleby have got something planned for that. So watch this space.
Very exciting.
Hopefully something to come back on with in future.
Excellent. Well, we'll do that for sure. We'll make a point of it, and maybe we'll get back over there and we'll do it. We'll do it together in that car. I mean, that's something to strive for in the future. So.
Yeah, go for it.
All right, John. Well, hey, thanks again. Hope to see you again soon. Cheers for now.
Yeah, cheers, guys. Thank you.
Take care, John.
All right. Well, hey, it's always so much fun talking to John. I love that guy to death. He's a lot of fun. And man, yeah, he runs one hell of a Camel Trophy Uber service. I'll just tell you that,
Well, there's not many of those. So, while if you're in the UK and you need a ride, call him up.
Yep.
Especially if there's some obstacles in your way.
That's right.
Some rivers that need to be crossed, some log bridges that need to be fabricated. He's definitely your man.
Yeah.
The Discovery, at least in the last couple of years, has been sort of a waning brand.
Yeah.
And so it's interesting to see the origin of that, especially with the announcement that they're going to kind of revamp the position of the Discovery and what it's doing.
Yeah.
I'm excited to see what they do with it. It definitely has I think a special place for some people.
Yeah, for sure. Well, and those 3-door, especially for us here in North America, because we never got the 3-door, it's sort of this mythical kind of super cool 100-inch 3-door Discovery that, had the 200 TDI and the 5-speed and everything. And it was just neat. And that sonar blue interior with the graphics on the doors and everything, like it, you could just hear the 80s music playing in that thing. It was...
it's only really been recently that people have imported the 2-door Discovery, and they didn't survive in large numbers in the UK. So, they're definitely a rarity here in the United States.
Yeah, they're cool. They're cool. And like I said, that, that sonar blue interior just turns like the worst color of green as soon as it gets hit by sunlight. Like it's just disgusting. And also like 7 different colors of green. Like it doesn't turn universally the same green. It's like, oh man, it's a whole variety of different greens that it turns. So yeah, it's a challenge. But no, it's a really neat car. And and he's doing a great job on that Camel Trophy restoration. And not a lot of people would undertake a project quite like that. And the fact that it's like a Roger Craythorne car, and then it's, it wasn't, it was like a training vehicle at Eastner, and it's such a neat kind of, piece of Camel Trophy history that so many different competitors would have touched that car and stuff. It's really cool. And it's really neat that he's doing that work to sort of bring that thing back to life. And looking forward to that. And yeah, if you haven't signed up to follow him on the old Instagram, do that because it's real cool. We'll put his full Instagram there in the show notes. Check that out. Also, if you are interested in Freelanders, and I know you are because you're listening to this show, and I think we've developed what we like to call the Freelander community. It's a strong community, silent but strong.
Jump on the old YouTube and see Steven's Freelander restoration video. Hit that dislike. Is there a dislike button?
There isn't a dislike. No, I don't think there's there's no thumbs down. No, there's no thumbs down. There's only thumbs down. It's a very positive community.
Well, fine. Since there's no thumbs down, give it a thumbs up. Give it a like. Give it a follow.
Yeah. And you can see it running under its own power. I swear to God, you can actually see it driving, which is pretty rare. I mean, that is something you don't see every day. Especially a G4 edition Freelander in North America running under its own power. It's like a unicorn. You see it as a magic. It's a magic experience. So
they have found more mummies in the last 5 years in Egypt than they have running Freelanders.
It's true. Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. My next plan is I think we're going to drive out to the East Coast, pick up John Kosich, and he and I are just going to go on a road trip. We're just gonna Freelander it up, because he can't keep us down.
That would make a fabulous video. How long will the Freelander last on a road trip?
Be
great.
I'm tired of I'm tired of you and Dixon's naysaying. We're just gonna go be free. We're just gonna live the Freelander lifestyle. We're gonna get our Jerry curl perm, our McGovern perms and our Ascots.
Just
and
two middle-aged men in a Freelander driving across the United States.
Shoulder pads and a Jerry, and the perm, and we're just gonna drive across the United States. It's gonna be a beautiful thing.
Can't wait to see it.
Yeah, it's gonna be a beautiful thing. All right, well, that does it for this week. Now, next week's show, we've got pretty exciting stuff. Our friend from the After the Land Rover Experience is gonna pop on the show here with us because
he's gonna come on the show to throw down the gauntlet. It's a response to our discussion of his Defender.
That's right. He wants to talk about the Defender. We chatted a little bit about it on last week's show where we did the internet roundup, and of course, famously, his Defender 110 was involved in some type of an accident with a deer, and it did some significant enough damage to warrant the vehicle being totaled. And he'd like to come on the show and talk about it. And man, would we ever like him to come on the show and talk about it? So Alan is going to come on and we're going to have a chat. We're going to get the full story, and we're also going to talk about his brand new Outbound Edition Defender 130, which is the vehicle that he's now got to replace that 110. As you know, I'm a big fan of the Outbound 130. I think that's that's the one to get, because it's got so much room in it, and it gets rid of those extra seats in the back of the 130 and makes all kinds of room for you. It's almost like the commercial that you can get in the UK, but you can't get over here. So I like it. Pretty cool.
That's cool.
And maybe he can answer the question, are those windows in the back, or are they that just have like a wrap over them, or are they actually like a hard panel? Because I don't know. I've never been able to get close enough to one to like tap on it and see if it's glass. So I wouldn't be surprised if it was just wrapped.
Questions will be answered.
Oh, exciting.
On the next episode of the Underpowered Hour.
Same bat time, same bat channel. So
stop on by.
Yeah, stop on by. We'll see you next week. So until then, Ike, stay well and give that horse some carrots for me, and we'll see you next week.
I'll do it. I'll see you on the trail.
The The Underpowered Hour is produced by Liza Veris, Ike Goss, and me, Steve Veris. Pavel Svardov composed and performed our theme music. Consider supporting the show on Patreon, and if you already do, thank you. Your support makes the show possible. For even more, check out our Instagram or Facebook.